Have you ever turned down an invitation and then felt guilty about it? Everyone is going somewhere. Everyone is having fun. Everyone is posting something. And you choose to stay home. Silence, peace, yourself. And in that moment, it feels like the world whispers, "You're missing out on life." But what if that isn't true? What if people who love staying home aren't running away from the world? What if home for them is not an escape from life, but a place where they recover, think, and become stronger? Today, you'll discover why some people choose silence while everyone else chases noise, why they seek depth while most people skim the surface, and maybe, at some point, you'll recognize yourself in it. Because if you're watching this video, then you've probably felt it too. The exhaustion from constant noise, the desire to be alone with yourself, the hunger for something real. Over the next few minutes, you'll understand the psychology of people who love staying home. And after this, you'll never look at solitude the same way again. Ready? Then close the door. Leave a like, subscribe, and let's begin. Imagine someone who turns down a party, a loud bar, another social gathering where everyone is laughing, talking, pretending they're having the time of their lives. They stay home, and most people think, he's weird, he's lonely, he's missing out. But what if everything you've been told about introverts and homebodies isn't entirely true? What if their brains simply work differently? What if they notice things that everyone else moves too fast to feel? Today, you'll learn the psychology behind people who love staying home. And this topic might completely change the way you see strength, loneliness, and freedom. The modern world constantly tells you, go out, be social, be visible, talk more. Social media has created the illusion that if you're not surrounded by people, you're somehow losing. As if happiness equals crowds, as if success equals connections, and solitude equals weakness. But then a question appears. Why were so many great thinkers, creators, artists, and scientists drawn to solitude? Why did so many geniuses prefer silence over noisy crowds? Because their brains processed the world differently. Science calls this high nervous system sensitivity. These people process information much more deeply. Every sound, every emotion, every tension in the room. For some people, a party is entertainment. For them, it's overload. Their minds absorb everything like a sponge, and eventually, it becomes exhausting. That's why home for them is not an escape. It's a recovery space, a place where the mind can finally breathe. The first insight, the brain's energy economy. Have you ever noticed that after long conversations, you just want silence? That doesn't make you strange. It's biology. Extroverts gain energy from the external world, conversations, movement, new faces, stimulation. Their brains crave it. Introverts work differently. They recharge internally through thoughts, deep conversations, reading, creativity. They don't need constant external noise to feel alive. Research shows that introverts often have stronger activity in brain regions connected to deep thinking and reflection. They are not afraid of people. They simply process reality differently. And the most important part, for them, solitude is not emptiness. It is a space for growth. The second insight, protection from shallow noise. The world is full of people who talk but rarely listen, who are physically present but emotionally absent, who fill silence with meaningless noise. People who love staying home eventually become very good at sensing fake energy. For them, surface-level conversations are not enjoyable, they are draining. That's why they choose silence, not because they fear people, but because they value their attention, their peace, and their time. This is not antisocial behavior, it's a high standard for emotional connection. They would rather have one honest conversation than 10 empty interactions. One real person instead of hundreds of acquaintances, and psychological research confirms it. Depth of relationships, not quantity, is what truly makes people happy. The solitude they choose acts like a filter, a way to protect the mind from chaos. The third insight, the inner world. While most people search for stimulation outside, they build entire worlds inside themselves. Their thoughts are a library. Their imagination is cinema. Their emotions are an ocean. For them, home is not confinement, it is a creative space. That's why so many writers, artists, musicians, programmers, and philosophers prefer solitude. Creativity needs silence. Neuroscientists explain that when a person steps away from constant stimulation, the brain activates what is called the default mode network. This is the state where the brain begins connecting memories, creating ideas, and solving problems. Solitude is not boredom. It is the environment where depth is formed. The strongest inner transformations almost always happen in silence. The fourth insight, freedom from social pressure. Society often controls people through the fear of loneliness. It tells them, if you're alone, something must be wrong with you. And because of that, many people force themselves to go places they don't want to be, spend time with people they don't connect with, and stay in environments that drain them, just to avoid being alone. But people who love staying home eventually break free from that cycle. They realize the opinion of the crowd does not define their value. This is not selfishness, it is self-respect. They choose their own rhythm, their own energy, their own space, and that requires real inner strength, because society will call them boring, strange, unsociable. But true freedom begins the moment you stop apologizing for your nature. The fifth insight, depth over quantity. You can know hundreds of people. That does not mean you feel connected to them. People who love staying home understand something important. Relationships are measured not by quantity, but by depth. They can spend one evening with a single person and feel more connection than someone else feels after months of loud parties, because they are fully present. No masks, no performance, no pretending to be someone else. And that has become rare in a world where almost everyone is playing a role. Research on happiness shows that the strongest predictor of life satisfaction is the quality of relationships. Not popularity, not followers, not social status, depth. And people who love solitude understand this almost instinctively. They do not build a network of contacts, they build a few real connections. Now, listen carefully. This does not mean everyone should become isolated. It means stop judging people who choose silence. Their path is not worse. It is simply different. Extroverts discover themselves through the outside world. Introverts discover the world inside themselves. But both paths can lead to the same destination, understanding who you truly are. And no matter what kind of person you are, learn to value solitude, not as punishment, but as a space where you finally hear yourself. Because in silence, your real voice appears, the one that knows the truth, the one that doesn't lie, the one that shows you where you truly need to go. Most people are afraid of that voice, so they constantly drown it out with noise, parties, alcohol, and endless scrolling. But people who love staying home understand something important. There is power inside silence. They are not hiding from life. They are simply living it more consciously. Remember this: being popular does not mean being valuable. Being visible does not mean being important. You can stand in the center of attention and still feel empty. And you can be alone and feel completely fulfilled. The psychology of people who love staying home is the psychology of choice, choosing yourself over society's expectations, silence over constant noise, depth over superficiality. And that is not weakness, that is maturity. And if you have ever felt that the world is too loud, too fast, too artificial, know this: there is nothing wrong with you. You are simply tuned to a different frequency, a frequency where meaning matters more than impressions, where authenticity matters more than appearances, where quality matters more than quantity. And the next time you see someone turn down a loud party to spend a quiet evening at home, don't assume they are missing out. Maybe they already discovered something most people never will. Real life is not always found where things are the loudest. Sometimes it exists in silence, in the place where you finally feel alive.